All right, it's going.
Screaming me, I was screaming you.
All right, so what I was going to say is I wasn't a sub last year. No, I started late in the year last year, but there was a sub in 8th grade at the beginning of the year last year. It's Rains, and then I got here and she started teaching art.
So there wasn't one 8th grade teacher last year?
What?
Like y'all didn't have, there was one 8th grade teacher last year? Like if you
No,
came
there
at
were
the end
4 last year.
But if you came at the end of the year, why was there so
I came in October last year.
Who was it before you and Miss like so who was before you?
Miss Walker? Was the teacher before me?
Yeah.
The older lady?
And then she had to leave, so they didn't find a replacement in time, so they had Miss Rains in there, and then I got here.
I know, I remember, but she did not like me.
Miss Rains?
Miss Rains is sweet.
Miss Walker?
Well, don't worry about it. She's moved up north now. All right, so today what we are going to do is we are going to talk about imagery. What? Alan, read that EQ for me. Just the words, not the annotations. Just the.
All the writers intent use imagery and point of view to introduce characters and tell a story.
How do writers like S.E. Hinton? Who is S.E. Hinton?
Author of
The author of The Outsiders. How does the author of The Outsiders use imagery and point of view to introduce characters and tell a story? So far, in the remainder that we're reading of chapter 1, there's going to be a lot of imagery used to describe the rest of the gang, the greasers. Laptops away. We're gonna do a little imagery activity to help us learn about imagery a little bit. And then after we learn about imagery, we're going to read the rest of the chapter for the Outsiders for today. What? Yes, I love my job. As you.
Face looks like not
You don't believe me? How come you didn't eat all your lunch in the cafeteria?
He's always good at apple,
He's
bro.
smacking me like
He
nuts.
think he like Yankee, bro.
He keeps smacking them.
Not like, bro.
You be sucking up on the
big old
pickle.
mouth.
I'm not even talking to you. Mind your business.
Alright, so what do you need? What do you think you're going to need? You're gonna need a pencil. Yes, what else will you need?
You don't need
Your
your
binder. Why
mind.
do you need your binder?
Because they're giving us a paper.
Because I'm not giving you enough. I am giving you this paper, but you need the paper we started yesterday for our chapter 1 questions. So we need to keep doing those chapter 1 questions for the remainder of class today. I'm hoping that we are going to be able to finish chapter 1 by the end of class today. If we do finish chapter 1 by the end of class today, I have purchased Thanksgiving stickers. So everyone gets a turkey at the end of class if you did a good job. Yeah. If we can get through it, you can have a turkey. Most of them are turkeys. Not all of them are turkeys. But we got Thanksgiving stickers. So what I want you to do, word of the day, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Don't know why, but there it is. All right. Woo. get out of your way, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yep, that one. So it's language that creates
We have to write.
image.
Do we have to write imagery or feelings and conversations?
No, you just need to write the first part. Language that creates an image. Language. Just a verbal. Alright, y'all got that part down? Circle the 5 senses. 5 senses. Sight with your eyeballs. Hearing with your ears. Smell with your nose. Touch with your hands and your skin. Taste with your tongue. All of these five. Then you can't talk.
What is that ceiling?
Wait, what was that thing called? An A-block?
It will not fall. The ceiling fan will not fall.
Does anybody have
Alright, Laura, want me to borrow a pencil?
Oh, stop.
Alright, guys. The last class was talking so much that we were not able to finish the chapter. I would really, really like to finish the chapter. My first core, we finished the chapter. I would really like to finish the chapter with you guys, and if you're talking extra like this, we won't have time to do so. Parents, what do you need, man? It's not gonna fall. And if it does, I will dive dramatically and stop you and get in it.
You have to pay my mom.
Huh?
You have to pay my
I will pay your mother as well.
Whoa.
Alright, you guys got the 5 senses down?
I'm about done sitting.
Sorry, Autumn, we had to move on, get it from your neighbor. Here are some examples of imagery using descriptive words. Sight, you can use words like bright, shadowy, or sparkling. Hearing, you can use words like rumble, wail, or whisper. Touch uses words like rugged, or warm, or sharp.
You put that in the 1 and 2s?
No, you don't write anything down here. Taste uses words like tangy, sweet, or garlic. Fragrant uses words like, or smell uses words like fragrant, or musty, or cinnamon. It describes scents. For example, you could say something like, it smells like your grandma's kitchen the morning of Thanksgiving. Would you know how to picture that inside your head? You know that's what like. You know your grandma's kitchen smells like on Thanksgiving. That is descriptive language. I lied to you, parents. There is one word you need to write down off of this slide.
Figurative.
Figurative. Imagery uses figurative language. Already.
Did we put simile?
No, not yet. Just wait.
Oh, no.
Wait one. I'll tell you what you need to write when we get there. Alright, so uses figurative language. Figurative language that uses imagery are things like similes, metaphors, personification, and onomatopoeia. So, write down one of these examples in the first blank of examples. Pick one and write it down.
Not 2, just 1.
Just pick one.
Simile shorter.
So, an example of a simile is a comparison of two things using like or as, right? So the simile they use is cute as a speckled pup under a wagon. You kind of can picture something, a speckled pup under a wagon. the examples of imagery on these lines here. You can either write the examples of imagery on the lines here, or you can just underline it on your paper. So the first one, Tad inherited that weathered bamboo figure. That weathered bamboo fishing pole with its rusty metal fittings from Grandpa. Now, that sentence, is there any examples of imagery in that sentence? Yes, there are. What are they?
The weathered bamboo fishing pole is rusty.
So what you would do is you would circle that one, and then you would underline weathered bamboo fishing pole and rusty metal fittings. Those are great examples of using imagery. The second sentence. Melvin carried the boxes into the den and opened them after lunch. Is that got any imagery in it? It doesn't. So no, not that one. So if you wanted, you can just like, nope. Casey wore her coat to school in the morning, but carried it home in the afternoon. Is there any imagery in that?
No.
Nope. The dress that Meg designed was as elegant as a Victorian ball gown. Does that have imagery in it? It does. So you would circle it. And where's the imagery?
Dress that Meg designed, elegant as a Victorian ball gown.
Elegant as a Victorian ball gown. Perfect. And the last thing I want you to do, I'm going to give you a minute to do it. I want you to come up with your own examples and add it to your paper.
On which lines?
To that picture, right here. You can use the picture down here for inspiration if you
What
want.
are the ones up there?
Wait, under?
The very bottom down here. The first two were so you could write down the examples from here, but I told you you didn't have to do that part. And then, down here, in these bottom lines, it says, write your own example of imagery with descriptive words and figurative language. So come up with your own
My bad.
I literally did not mean to. I'm being so serious.
Just play some video.
I'd like to play it, but it's a quiet video and I want you guys to be able to hear it.
Bro, quit.
Why is it quiet?
Pop bottle or a stick or something. Steve Randall, Soda's best buddy, had once held off 4 guys with a busted pop bottle.
Where's this at?
There was nothing
Fidget.
bigger than me.
What page we
I
on?
don't see it.
Like
Hold
that
on, no,
haircut to
I gotta
begin
find it.
just below the chin. It occurred to me then that they could kill. Thought Derry and Dad were brothers instead of father and son. I did. He pulled out a handkerchief, wet the end of it with his tongue, and pressed it gently against the side of my
That's
head.
page 7.
You're bleeding like a stuck pig. I am? Look, went blazing with anger the next. He has Dad's eyes, but Soda is one of a kind. He can get drunk in a drag race or dancing without ever getting near alcohol.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Anya.
this is in the middle of the paragraph and the top of page 8. That's
We
where we are.
already read this part too, so it's okay.
We did. We are gonna reread this last couple of sentences and then we'll be where we need to start. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Page 8, Corey.
Neighborhood, it's rare to find a kid who doesn't drink once in a while, but Soda never touches a drop. He doesn't need to. He gets drunk on just plain living. And he understands everybody. He looked at me more closely. I looked away hurriedly because if you want to know the truth, I was starting to bawl. I knew I was as white as I felt and I was shaking like a leaf.
Ball, what does he mean by ball?
He gonna cry.
Why?
Because he just got jumped.
Because he just got jumped by how many guys?
By
5. By the socials, yes, the socials game. Yes.
Soda just put his hand on my shoulder. Easy, pony boy. I ain't gonna hurt you no more. I know, I said, but the ground began to blur and I felt hot tears running down my cheeks. I brushed them away impatiently. Just a little spooked, that's all. I drew a quivering breath and quit crying. You just don't cry in front of Derry. Not unless you're hurt like Johnny had been that day we found him in the vacant lot. Compared to Johnny, I wasn't hurt at all. Soda rubbed my hair. You're an okay kid, Pony. I had to grin at him. Soda can make you grin no matter what. Guess it's because he's always grinning so much himself. You're crazy, Soda. Out of your mind. Derry looked as if he'd like to knock our heads together. You're both nuts. Soda merely cocked one eyebrow, a trick he picked up from Two-Bit, and it seems to run in this family. Derry stared at him for a second, then cracked a grin. Soda Pop isn't afraid of him like everyone else and enjoys teasing him. I'd just as soon tease a full-grown grizzly, but for some reason Derry seems to like being teased by Soda.
Quick question. Did you guys answer question 5 yesterday?
No.
We did it?
That's where we.
We just read that.
Yeah, he just read that. He did just read that. So, what do you think he means when he said, or she Soda Pop is kind and really, really loves his brother, and his brother loves him back.
The gang had chased the socials to their car and heaved rocks at them.
Middle of
They
night.
came running toward us now, 4 lean, hard guys. They were all tough as nails and looked it. I'd grown up with them and they accepted me even though I was younger because I was Darian Soda's kid brother and I kept my mouth shut good. Steve Randall was 17, tall and lean, with thick, greasy hair he kept combed in complicated swirls. He was tacky, smart, and Soda's best buddy since grade school. Steve's specialty was cars. He could lift a hubcap quicker and more quietly than anyone in the neighborhood. But he also knew cars upside down and backward, and he could drive anything on wheels. He and Soda worked at the same gas station. Steve part-time and Soda full-time, and their station got more customers than any other in town. Whether that was because Steve was so good with cars or because Soda attracted girls like honey draws flies, I couldn't tell you. I liked Steve only because he was Soda's best friend. He didn't like me. He thought I was a tatting along and a kid. Soda always took me with them when they went places if they weren't taking girls, and that bugged Steve. It wasn't my fault. Soda always asked me. I didn't ask him. Soda doesn't think I'm a kid. Two-Bit Matthews was the oldest of the gang and the wisecracker of the bunch. He was about 6 feet tall, stocky in build, and very proud of his long, rusty-colored sideburns. He had gray eyes and a wide grin, and he couldn't stop making funny remarks to save his life. You couldn't shut up that guy. He always had to get his 2 bits worth in, hence his name. Even his teachers forgot his real name was Keith, and we hardly remembered he had one. Life was one big joke to 2-Bit. He was famous for shoplifting and his black-handled switchblade, which he couldn't have acquired without his first talent, and he was always smarting off the cops. He really couldn't help it. Everything he said was so irresistibly funny that he just had to let the police in on it to brighten up their dull lives. That's the way he explained it to me. He liked fights, blondes, and for some unfathomable reason, school. He was still a junior at 18 and a half, and he never learned anything. He just went for kicks. I liked him real well because he kept us laughing at ourselves as well as at other things. He reminded me of Will Rogers. Maybe it was the grin.
Okay, before we read the next section, what is question number 6 asking you guys? What does it say?
In describing Dally Winston, how does the narrator's choice of words and tone of language help us determine his point of view?
Right, so how does the narrator's description of Dally, which he's about to describe in that next section, how does it seem? What does it say? What does it feel? Is there imagery in it? You know? Let's listen and learn all about Scary Dally. I call him scary. I think he's scary.
Dally?
The one in the middle.
Oh.
He doesn't look very scary. But if you read the description, he looks very different from that guy. The guy they described in the book does not look like that guy that played him in the movie.
If I had to pick the real character of the gang, it would be Dallas Winston, Dally. I used to like to draw his picture when he was in a dangerous mood, for then I could get his personality down in a few lines. He had an elfish face with high cheekbones and a pointed chin, small, sharp animal teeth, and ears like a lynx. His hair was almost white, it was so blonde, and he didn't like haircuts or hair oil either, so it fell over his forehead in wisps and knocked out in the back in tufts and curled behind his ears and along the nape of his neck. His eyes were blue, blazing ice, cold with a hatred of the whole world. Dally had spent 3 years on the wild side of New York and had been arrested at the age of 10. He was tougher than the rest of us. Tougher, colder, meaner. The shade of difference that separates a greaser from a hood wasn't present in Dally. He was as wild as the boys in the downtown outfits like Tim Shepard's gang. In New York, Dally blew off steam in gang fights, but here, organized gangs are rarities. They're just small bunches of friends who stick together in the warfares between the social classes. A rumble, when it's called, is usually born of a grudge fight, and the opponents just happen to bring their friends along. Well, there are a few named gangs around, like the River Kings and the Tiber Street Tigers, but here in the Southwest, there's no gang rivalry. So Dally, even though he could get into a good fight sometimes, had no specific thing to hate. No rival gang, only socias, and you can't win against them no matter how hard you try because they've got all the breaks, and even whipping them isn't going to change that fact. Maybe that's why Dallas was so bitter. He had quite a reputation. They have a file on him down at the police station. He'd been arrested, he got drunk, He rode in rodeos, lied, cheated, stole, rolled drunks, jumped small kids. He did everything. I didn't like him, but he was smart and you had to respect him. Johnny Cade was last and least.
Okay, that was Dally. Now talk about imagery. Could you picture Dally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely take my lunch.
Jumping.
Dallas a scary guy. Let's answer these questions. Alright, point of view. If we're looking at point of view, the narrator's point of view. What do you think the narrator's point of view of Dally is?
A tough man and scary.
He's mean, he's scared of him. Right, what else?
He's a wannabe ugly man. Bad.
He's a bad guy.
He's an ugly man.
He's a bad guy, but he's like genuinely an actual bad guy.
It's cold.
Because when he describes him, alright, fine, turn the fan off. When he describes him, he says specifically, he had an elfish face, his high cheekbones and a pointed chin, small, sharp animal teeth and ears like a lynx. His hair was almost white, it was so blonde. And he didn't like haircuts or hair oil either, so it fell over. His forehead and wisps and caked out with black tufts that curled behind his ears and along the nape of his necks. His eyes were blue, blazing ice cold with a hatred of the whole world. What kind of person do you think that is?
It's like that whole a meaner version of Casey.
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to write all that down. No. He probably did kind of look a little like Kingston, but you know, big and scary.
It's right there. I said a nicer version. That's what it is.
That's not what he really looked like in the book. That's just the actor that played
He's
him.
like a blonde.
Well, yeah, because they got his elfish face right. It's just like
Maybe, but they definitely didn't get the white, blonde hair and the blue eyes and all that stuff.
Which one is the one that wanted to yell when he was jailed when he was 10?
Dally was the one they just got out of
Which
jail.
one is it though?
The one in the middle. The one in the middle.
Oh.
Alright,
That's
so
the
what
one
we're
John
in,
is.
how does the author describe him? He's describing him as almost like an animal. A scary animal that doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem like you would use this description on a real person, right? And then, do you think the words that the author is using, or that the narrator is using to describe Dally, are they positive or negative?
Both.
You think they're negative? You think they're positive, or are they positive?
because it says that they respect them.
He was tougher than the rest of us. Tougher, colder, meaner. The shade of difference that separates the Grease from Mode wasn't present in Dally. He was as wild as the boys in the downtown Athens. So he's a scary dude, and they don't respect him. He respects him, yes, but not in the way that you would respect someone you like. In a way that you respect somebody because you have to.
They don't have to. They just feel.
Kind of has to, because he's a small 14-year-old. So. And he's a little afraid of him too, I think. I think that's true. Alright, let's move on to the next.
Wait, what do we put for the second bullet point? That's what.
What's the author's point of view on Dally? What is
No, it's
He don't even look like he took this morning.
he doesn't, so they
That
don't really do
one,
very
that
good at
was like-
casting.
He could beat up somebody.
No, he was nice though.
No,
He
he's
did.
nice,
He
yes.
looks like, what's that man off of that movie?
Right.
That one man off that one movie.
Yeah.
There's so many movies and so many men.
The dude. The both
It's
dude.
raining men. My grandma loves that song, bro.
Alright, let's move on. I want to try and finish this chapter, so we gotta keep going. We need to keep reading so we can finish the chapter.
Waste. You can picture a little dark puppy that has been kicked too many times and is lost in a crowd of strangers. You'll have Johnny. He was the youngest next to me, smaller than the rest, with a slight build. He had big black eyes and a dark tanned face. His hair was jet black and heavily greased and combed to the side, but it was so long that
But you see, they kind of got the casting right on that one, right?
Which one?
Wait,
Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Oh,
one's Johnny?
Y'all, they got
Because they said he was the youngest, smaller than the rest, slight build, big black eyes, a dark tan face, and jet black hair. So all of that's right.
He's keeping
shadow and shaggy bangs across his forehead. He had a nervous, suspicious look in his eyes, and that beating he got from the socials didn't help matters. He was the gang's pet, everyone's kid brother. His father was always beating him up, and his mother ignored him, except when she was hacked off at something, and then you could hear her yelling at him clear down at our house. I think he needed that worse than getting whipped. He would have run away a million times if we hadn't been there. If it hadn't been for the gang, Johnny would never have known what love and affection are. I wiped my eyes hurriedly. Did you catch him? No, they got away this time, the dirty Two-Bit went on cheerfully, calling the socials every name he could think of or make up. Kids okay? I'm okay. I tried to think of something to say. I'm usually pretty quiet around people, even the gang. I changed the subject. I didn't know you were out of the cooler yet, Dally. Good behavior. Got off early. Dallas lit a cigarette and handed it to Johnny. Everyone sat down to have a smoke and relax. A smoke always lessens the tension. I had quit trembling and my color was back. The cigarette was calming me down. Two-Bit cocked an eyebrow. Nice looking bruise you got there, kid. I touched my cheek gingerly. Really? Two-Bit nodded sagely. Nice cut, too. Makes you look tough. And tough are two different words. Tough is the same as rough. Tough means cool, sharp, like a tough-looking Mustang or a tough record. In our neighborhood, both are compliments.
Tough and tough are two different words. Tough is the same as rough. Tough means cool, sharp, like a tough-looking Mustang or a tough record. In our neighborhood, both are compliments. So what is the connection between tough and tough, right? They're both good things. That's the connection, is that they're both positive. Huh? Yes.
You're a lot.
One day at a time. The connection between the two words is that they are both good things. They just have two different meanings. Why do you think they have two different meanings?
They're back.
Yes, flip it over. But the bag doesn't have that much on it, so. The connection. And what are some of the words that you use that would be like tough? What are some of the words? So tough is a slang word, right? That's why it has a different meaning, because it's a slang word.
People still use tough.
T-U-F-F.
Yes, be like your fit's tough.
They do?
Yes.
Well, sometimes it repeats itself over time. But back in the 1960s, that's what tough meant. It was like cool
This was
and awesome.
So you gotta be men, you gotta be like, you gotta be tough.
What are some words that you guys use these days that you don't think they probably won't be using 10 years from now?
Cup.
Don't say that. Cup, like cousin. What else?
No, that's cuz. I'm saying cup.
The difference.
Don't finish that word. Bustin'.
Bussin'.
Ew, bro.
That's
If I hear somebody, some grandma in their 60s say, ooh,
Say what?
ooh, the UW.
We're not saying that. No, like cap. Like
Cap.
cap.
The cap.
Like cap. Like what else what other kind of words do you guys have?
We have,
Yeah.
Don't say that one.
Riz. I got a good one. Riz.
Riz.
Yeah, means you have a big personality.
You have Riz.
Yeah, you got a big personality.
Nah, she risen up, Gary.
Look at the wall over there. What is that what this is? Risen? Say what are you doing? Sit up.
Taking a nap.
Bro, skibbity, bro. If someone says skibbity toilet in 20 years.
Right, but like,
Toilet.
let's turn this around. What kind of words do your grandparents were they using when they were
Hip,
doing?
groovy, freaking
Steve flicked his ashes at me. What were you doing walking by your lonesome? Leave it to good old Steve to bring up something like that. I was coming home from the movies. I didn't think. You don't ever think, Derry broke in. Not at home or anywhere when it counts. You must think at school.
Wait, who's fussing at him right now?
Jerry.
The big bubber.
His big brother Jerry. Yes.
Big
All those
photo.
good grades you bring home, and you've always got your nose in a book. But do you ever use your head for common sense? No siree, bub. And if you did have to go by yourself, you should have carried a blade. I just stared at the hole in the toe of my tennis shoe. Me and Derry just didn't dig each other. I could never please him. He would have hollered at me for carrying a blade if I had carried one. If I brought home B's, he wanted A's. And if I got A's, he wanted to make sure they stayed A's. If I was playing football, I should be in studying. And if I was reading, I should be out playing football. Never hollered at Soda Pop, not even when Soda dropped out of school or got tickets for speeding. He just hollered at me. Soda was glaring at him. I leave my kid brother alone, you hear? It ain't his fault he likes to go to the movies, and it ain't his fault the socials like to jump us. And if he had been carrying a blade, it would have been a good excuse to cut him to ribbons. Soda always picks up for me. Derry said impatiently, when I want my kid brother to tell me what to do with my other kid brother, I'll ask you, kid brother. But he laid off me.
That was pretty harsh there, huh?
Not really. Okay.
Well, he probably said it more like real angry, like, when I want my kid
When I want my kid brother to be my kid brother,
like Sadie do it. Exactly. So,
Sadie,
what do you think the relationship between these, the family, when I'm talking about the family, I mean the three brothers, what is their relationship like? What do you think? Have they struggled with the loss of their parents and given up on life?
No.
Yes.
No, they haven't. Do they not have a close relationship at all and try to live their own separate lives?
No.
No? Do they have they struggled with their loss and support one another in the best way they know how?
That'll be fine. That'll count.
That's a good one.
That'll work.
What are the key words? Circle the key words that made you not choose each answer for the other ones.
Don't have a close.
Wait, what's the answer?
Giving up on life.
What's the answer?
Giving up on life?
Not having a close relationship.
The brothers have struggled with the loss of their parents, but they support one another in the best way they know how. That's the correct answer. And it says, what are the keywords in each answer choice? What are the keywords in each answer choice? The other answer choices and this answer choice that made you choose or not choose this answer. So highlight or underline or whatever, those ones. And then what is the text evidence that shows us this relationship that we chose? We chose that they support each other. How do we know that? 8.
What? Your sociability. Your
There's somebody still saying that. I'm sure we need something like that.
I just want to be your sigma.
Okay.
Give me your Ohio.
Sadie, stop.
I just finished.
Awesome sauce.
I still say that sometimes.
I still say awesome sauce.
Okay, so yes,
Silly
Andrew.
goose.
Yeah. All right. So some evidence. What is some evidence from the text that shows us this relationship? By text evidence, I am not asking you to give me a quote. I'm asking you to tell me where it says where. What happens in the story that tells you that?
They're yelling.
Because the big brother is yelling at the little brother.
Yeah.
Sure.
This really
Yeah.
The siblings arguing.
Siblings arguing show that they care about each other. Okay. But what else? He says he's always yelling at me.
He was yelling at him because he didn't bring like a blade or nothing for self-defense.
He also says if I brought home B's, he wanted A's. And if I got A's, he wanted to make sure they stayed
But he
A's.
wanted the
If I
best
was
friend.
playing football, I should be studying. And if I was reading, I should be playing football. All of these things on page 13 are great examples of evidence that show you these things.
So we just put pictures.
Sure. Alright, you ready? We're gonna finish this out.
He always does when Soda
Oh,
Pop
my
tells him
throat
to.
hurts now.
Most of the time. Next time, get one of us to go with you, Pony Boy. Too big said any of us will.
Page 14.
Speaking of movies, Dally yawned, flipping away his cigarette butt. I'm walking over to the Valley Double tomorrow night. Anybody want to come and hunt some action? Steve shook his head. Me and Soda are picking up Edie and Sandy for the game. He didn't need to look at me the way he did right then. I wasn't going to ask if I could come. I'd never tell Soda because he really likes Steve a lot, but sometimes I can't stand Steve Randall. I mean it. Sometimes I hate him. Derry sighed, just like I knew he would. Derry never had time to do anything anymore. I'm working tomorrow night. And Dolly looked at the rest of us. How about y'all? Two-Bit, Johnny Cake, you and Pony want to come? Me and Johnny will come, I said. I knew Johnny wouldn't open his mouth unless he was forced to. Okay, Derry? Yeah, since it ain't a school night. Derry was real good about letting me go to places on the weekends. On school nights, I could hardly leave the house. I was planning on getting boozed up tomorrow night, Two-Bit said. If I don't, I'll walk over and find y'all. Steve was looking at Dally's hand. His ring, which he had rolled a drunk senior to get, was back on his finger. You break up with Sylvia again? Yeah, and this time it's for good. That little broad was two-timing me again while I was in jail. I thought of Sylvia and Evie and Sandy and Two-Bit's mini blondes. They were the only kind of girls that would look at us, I thought. Tough, loud girls who wore too much eye makeup and giggled and swore too much. I liked Soda's girl Sandy just fine though. Her hair was natural blonde and her laugh was soft, like her china blue eyes. She didn't have a real good home or anything and was our kind, greaser, but she was a real nice girl. Still, lots of times I wondered what other girls were like. Girls who were bright eyes and had their dresses a decent length and acted as if they'd like to spit on us if given a chance. Some were afraid of us, and remembering Dallas Winston, I didn't blame them. But most looked at us like we were dirt. Gave us the same kind of look that the Socias did when they came by in their Mustangs and Corvairs and yelled grease at us. I wondered about them, the girls I mean. Did they cry when their boys were arrested like Evie did when Steve got hauled in? Or did they run out on them the way Sylvia did Dallas? Maybe their boys didn't get arrested or beaten up or busted up in rodeos. I was still thinking about it while I was doing my homework that night. I had to read Great Expectations for English, and that kid Pip, he reminded me of us. The way he felt marked lousy because he wasn't a gentleman or anything, and the way that girl kept looking down on him. That happened to me once. One time in biology I had to dissect a worm, and the razor wouldn't cut, so I used my switchblade. The minute I flipped it out, and I forgot what I was doing, or I would never have done it, the girl right beside me kind of gasped and said, "They are right. You are a hood." And that didn't make me feel so hot. These were a lot of Socias in that class. I get put into A classes because I'm supposed to be smart, and most of them thought it was pretty funny. I didn't, though. She was a cute girl. She looked real good in yellow. We deserve a lot of our trouble, I thought. Dallas deserves everything he gets, and should get worse if you want the truth. Two-Bit, he doesn't really want or need half the things he swipes at stores. He just thinks it's fun to swipe everything that isn't nailed down. I can understand why Soda Pop and Steve get into drag races and fights so much, though. Both of them have too much energy, too much feeling with no way to blow it off. Rub harder, Soda, I heard Derry mumbling. You're gonna put me to sleep. I looked through the door. Soda Pop was giving Derry a back rub. Derry's always pulling muscles. He roofs houses, and he's always trying to carry 2 bundles of roofing up the ladder. I knew Soda would put him to sleep because Soda can put about anybody out when he sets his head to it. He thought Derry worked too hard anyway. I did too. Derry didn't deserve to work like an old man when he was only 20. He'd been a real popular guy in school. He was captain of the football team, and he'd been booked.
Come on.
Let's be mature here.
It's his brother. He's not thinking that way about his brother. He's thinking my brother has worked all day doing hard, grueling labor. And he's in pain. Let me hope that.
The only way I would do that is if I could put my feet on my back. I could like step on them, that'd be funny.
Alright, let's finish up.
But we boy of the year. We just didn't have the money for him to go to college, even with the athletic scholarship he won. And now he didn't have time between jobs to even think about college. So he never went anywhere and never did anything anymore, except work out at gyms and go skiing with some old friends of his sometimes. I rubbed my cheek where it had turned purple. I had looked in the mirror and it did make me look tough, but Derry made me put a band-aid on the cut. I remember how awful Johnny looked when he got beaten up. I had just as much right to use the streets as the Socias did, and Johnny had never hurt them. Why did the Socias hate us so much? We left them alone. I nearly went to sleep over my homework trying to figure it out. Soda Pop, who had jumped into bed by this time, yelled sleepily for me to turn off the light and get to bed. When I finished the chapter I was on, I did. Lying beside Soda, staring at the wall, I kept remembering the faces of the Socias as they surrounded me. That blue Madras shirt the blonde was wearing, and I could still hear a thick voice. Need a haircut, greaser? I shivered. You cold, Pony Boy? A little, I lied. Soda threw one arm across my neck. He mumbled something drowsily. Listen, kiddo, when Derry hollers at you, he don't mean nothing. He's just got more worries than somebody his age ought to. Don't take him serious. You dig, Pony? Don't let him bug you. He's really proud of you because you're so brainy. It's just 'cause you're the baby. I mean, he loves you a lot. Savvy? Sure, I said, trying for Soda's sake to keep the sarcasm out of my voice. Soda? Yeah. How come you dropped out? I never have gotten over that. I could hardly stand it when he left school. 'Cause I'm dumb. The only things I was passing anyway were auto mechanics and gym. You're not dumb. Yeah, I am. Shut up and I'll tell you something. Don't tell Derry, though. Okay. I think I'm gonna marry Sandy. After she gets out of school and I get a better job and everything. I might wait till you get out of school, though, so I can still help Derry with the bills and stuff. Tough enough. Wait till I get out, though, so you can keep Derry off my back. Don't be like that, kid. I told you, you don't mean half of what he says. You in love with Sandy? What's it like? He sighed happily. It's real nice. In a moment, his breathing was light and regular. I turned my head to look at him, and in the moonlight, he looked like some Greek god come to earth. I wondered how he could stand being so handsome. Then I sighed. I don't quite get what he meant about Derry. Derry thought I was just another mouth to feed and somebody to holler at. Derry love me? I thought of those hard, pale eyes. Soda was wrong for once, I thought. Derry doesn't love anyone or anything, except maybe Soda. I didn't hardly think of him as being human. I don't care, I lied to myself. I don't care about him either. Soda's enough, and I'd have him till I got out of school. I don't care about Derry. But I was still lying, and I knew it. I lie to myself all the time, but I never believed me.
Yeah, we're done.
Yes, but before you, all right. So number 10, we'll come back to number 9 on Monday. But number 10, I lie to myself all the time, but I never believe me. What does that say about the character? What does that reveal about this character?
He knows his true feelings, but he doesn't want to admit to.
Right, he knows his true feelings about stuff, but he doesn't want to admit to how he really feels about stuff sometimes. What is he lying about specifically here? He's lying because he's saying that he doesn't care about his big brother, but we know that he does. And he's trying to lie to himself about it because what?
Because you know he does.
Yes, okay. Well, they're switching in the hallway, so it's time for us to go. So it's time for us to go. Please you can leave the book on the desk. You can leave the books on the desk, but put your binders up and then line up at the door.
Jeez, Casey, why'd you make me scream? Now my throat hurts. Because you said the Rizzler thing. That's my song. You would have just been nice.
I love
You
you.
come on up, please.
Alright, guys. Woo, Harris.
I love my
I'm the best friend. I might have to get a ticket.
You petted my dog.
Here, have a pie.
Yeah.